Hello, and welcome to the Canadian LOE channel. I am a Canadian LOE, and in this episode we are going to talk about a video coming out of Clark County, Nevada, where an accused attacks a judge. Alright, let's get into this. Alright, let's get into the video.
Do you want to say on your own behalf before I pronounce sentence?
So basically, I would like to tell the courts and everyone here, like, based on my criminal history, like, I feel that, like, I shouldn't be, like, sent to prison for a second time.
Have you looked at your criminal history? Have you looked at your criminal history?
I actually just, I looked at it.
I mean, you lived it, I suppose.
I just looked at it,
Yeah.
And,
3 felonies, a gross, 9 misdemeanors, multiple DVs. Got a lot going on, sir.
yeah, I just figured, like,
Battery on a protected person, robberies, attempt home invasion. Go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just...
I just figure like I'm in a better place in my mind, my mental health. I have a support system. I just got hired as a teamster for the union, making $20 an hour, and like the reason behind every single domestic violence, I've been dealing with mental health, and I didn't know that I was dealing with mental health, and they put me in mental health court, and I still didn't know that I had a mental health problem until it was August 2022 when I realized I have a problem with this, and like having a dictionary and like understanding myself, getting to know myself a little better, and applying it to my personality, and having an epiphany at that moment in those instances, and just like trying to learn from my mistakes, And I feel like I shouldn't be sent to prison, but if it's appropriate for you, then you have to do what you have to do. But I figure that if I'm in a better place in my life, I'm not doing drugs, I'm not out there committing crimes now, and I feel like I should be given a shot because I'm in a better place than I was then, but that's, I'm a person who never stops trying to do the right thing, no matter how hard it is. And I just, and I'm trying, and I never give up trying to do the right thing. I know I'm not a rebellious person. I don't want to be standing there. I don't want you to have to, sit up there and waste your time as well, But the criteria of me saying this is that I'm a person that never stops trying to do the right things, even if it's hard. And I did the best I could. I have mental problems.
Thank you.
I think the court can trust that he is going to perform well on probation. I think he's worth this risk. The court wants the 1948 as suggested by the VA. I would have no issue with that, but to suspend it rather than just send him to prison for any length of time. I think it makes more sense given the circumstances and his ability to do probation successfully that he be given this opportunity.
I appreciate that, but I think it's time that he gets a taste of something else because I just can't with that history. In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court...
Stop. Don't do this. Hey, where's Mary Kate? Is she okay?
Now I'm going to put up on the screen a diagram of how I think this courtroom is laid out. Before anyone gets to this courtroom itself, more than likely they're going to come into the courthouse and they're going to be screened either by walking through a metal detector walkthrough and having their bags and items scanned through an x-ray machine. And then they're going to go from the x-ray machine to the court. They need to come to the courtroom, which is going to be illustrated by the red door, top middle of the door. They're going to be probably greeted by an officer, which are the two blue circles, which are going to be middle just below the door and bottom left screen. One of those officers is going to be at that brown square, which is the desk, and he's going to be greeting them as they come in, explaining the rules of the courtroom, screening them against the docket to make sure they're actually in the right area, and then probably noting anyone who is missing and actually noting if there are warrants out for them and if they happen to show up late or, not at all, and deal with those situations as they arise. Now, the seats just to the beside that desk as you come in and to the other side is called the gallery. That's where the general public waits and can observe the court process. It's also where people who have matters before the court who are not in custody will wait until their matters are dealt with. And then you have the light blue line going on both sides in front of the gallery is called the bar, and that separates the well of the court where all the work is done by the officers of the court and the public. And you're going to have your attorneys' tables. One side is going to be representing the state, and the other side is going to be for defense attorneys. Defense attorneys in this case is going to be to your left. They're going to be represented by the accused, which is a red circle, and the light blue circle, which is going to be the defense attorney. And on the state's attorney or ADA is going to be by the other light blue circle. In the well of the court, you're going to see a bench, which is where prisoners will sit normally during their first appearances to make the court as efficient as possible, so they're not always waiting for prisoners to be transported back and forth. And at the bottom, you're going to have the green circle, which is going to be the clerk of the court, and the yellow circle, which is going to be the judge. The bottom right is going to be the door that prisoners are transported in and out of them, and that brown box above that is probably going to be the jury area. Now, there's some areas such as where prisoners come in and out in the jury box, and where the bottom left, where the deputy or marshal is sitting, what that is exactly, whether that's a witness box or if that's an actual box for one of the security officers, the court officers to sit in. I'm not sure on that setup, but this is the general setup in the field of the court. From a pure security perspective of the marshal and the sheriff, let's look at what was missed. 3 threat cues and tactical positioning. And what I mean by threat cues is behavior that the accused is displaying that might indicate that they might do something erratic. And then tactical positioning is being in a position that you're able to protect those that might be endangered or threatened by the accused. If you watch the video, you can see 3 times Mr. Redden looks for the deputy sheriff and the marshal. And it looks like he's sizing up to where they are in the court in relation to where he's at. He's also looking down at the ground and shuffles a little bit to the right to indicate that maybe he's looking for an easy path to get to the judge if needed. Now, the marshals and the deputies' positioning could have been improved if they would have put themselves in positions where they had no barriers between them and the will of the court and or the accused. So how do we have effective court security? Well, we do a proper risk assessment, know who's coming into our courtroom, what issues they are bringing into our courtroom, and try to resource them as best as we can. When I say resource them, put the proper security measures in place to prevent anything from happening. The other thing that needs to happen is effective and timely communication between all court participants, between the judiciary, the lawyers, and court staff. If we all communicate with each other, we can all help to minimize the risks that are in the courtroom.